All right, racist.
The Indians had never seen black men. And at that time, this country was festive with buffalo. And the Indians called us Buffalo Boys.
The Buffalo Soldiers are the foundational main characters in American history. I mean, they created the saddle, our national parks, and recently I learned they created some Native American reservations. Yes, you read that correctly. Let's get into it. Buffalo soldiers from the 9th and 10th Cavalry and the 24th and 25th Infantry facilitated the creation of Native American reservations, particularly in the Southwest and the Great Plains from the 1870s to the 1890s. The soldiers also guarded the borders of established reservations. While the U.S. government created reservations on paper through executive orders and treaties, the Buffalo soldiers were the ones who built the physical infrastructure, and they defined the borders that made the reservations a reality. Reservations weren't just empty land. They were guarded areas with military outposts. Those military outposts were the original structures that the Buffalo Soldiers built. They were the structures the soldiers would use to oversee the Native American population. Another reservation guard outpost that the 10th Cavalry built from the ground up was Fort Sill. Buffalo soldiers from the 9th Cavalry built Fort Duchesne to monitor the Uintah and Ouray reservation. They constructed the roads and the telegraph lines that connected these remote prison lands to the rest of the U.S. military network. They strung hundreds of miles of telegraph wire. This talking wire was the high-tech surveillance of the 1800s. If a group of Native Americans left a reservation, the Buffalo soldiers' own handiwork allowed the news to travel instantly, leading to the capture of runaway natives. They dug the wells, laid the irrigation pipes, and built the roads that allowed the government to give food rations to the natives. In the 1880s and 1890s, they acted as guards to prevent white Sooners from squatting on Native American lands. The Buffalo Soldiers would act as the main police force to maintain peace and safety in Native communities, which means the Buffalo Soldiers were placed there to protect the interests of the U.S., which were the people they placed on the reservations, not to be at war with them or to harm them. So the lies about Buffalo Soldiers harming Native people is simply another narrative to paint Black Indigenous Americans as the enemy. Now, I must admit, learning the history was a shocker. We have no idea how deep this goes. Native Americans were held prisoner on reservations and prevented from escaping. That is not how the original people of this land have been described historically, ever. It was said that the reservations were tribal lands. So we must ask, what is the truth? And who's willing to tell it? Because it could all be so simple as unity in research. The more we read as a society, the more we unpack together. However, we can't help but notice that every little detail points to Black Indigenous Americans being here first. They build everything. This place has always been known as the land of the free because it was populated with free indigenous Black Americans. The people were known as freedmen. Black Americans have always been freeborn, which makes me wonder, where were the Native Americans located before their reservations? Because the reservation era was from 1850 to 1887. Here's what the country looked like in 1887. Black Americans had between 40 to 50 HBCUs, one being the prestigious Florida A&M University, established October 3rd, 1887. So where were the Native Americans during this time before the reservations? Black Americans were building cities, educated in architecture, and they were able to build Native American reservations. Were Native Americans just barefoot in the Great Plains? That's two different realities in one country. That doesn't even make sense. And we're all just supposed to believe that. It's clear someone really stupid came up with all these fake stories. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next class.